Okay, so case study. So in ethics, in engineering ethics or ethics, is normal as is actually one of the most important element in ethics to be able to analyze cases. So case study means we give you a case like a scenario, and you are supposed to analyze it and come up with a solution. Okay, and how to solve the problem in terms of ethics. So if you cannot hear me, let me know. Okay, so mana slide ni? Okay, so of all case study, what do you call it? Slide. This is the most important slide. Oh no. Hmm. Betul. 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 Alright, this is correct. So this is the most important slide. So when if I give you a case study, you're supposed to cover all the what all three, 1, 2, 3, and including A, B, C, D. Okay. So make sure the elements there, because the marks will be given on that. And I remember last time I told the student you need to cover this, but there are many also students who didn't put the elements there. So you won't get good marks if you don't follow this what do you call it, flow, flow of answering, because because it's logical to answer it like that. So make sure you have, and when you write down, you have this three segment clearly what do you call it, written in your on your assignment. Okay, so before that, let me give you an example of a case study. Case study like this. We give you a lot of words, right? XYZ Corporation permits an employee to borrow company tools. Engineer A, one house took full advantage of this. He went on step further. So this is typical case study. We'll give you a paragraph or more of a situation, and you are supposed to analyze it. Okay. So how to analyze it? Then let's go back to the slide. Previous slide. Number one, okay, you should include the identification of the problem or issues. If you don't understand anything, just ask me question along the way. So identification of the problem or issues. So sometimes in one scenario there may be more than one problem. Okay, so you need to read carefully. So you need to highlight what are the problems, problem or problems. So and after this we'll go through what types of problems are possible. Okay, um, and do not confuse between symptoms and problems. Symptoms are indicators of a problem. So you need to, sometimes it's long, so the paragraph is long. So you need to read carefully, and you need to identify which are the symptoms or which are the problem. Do you know how to differentiate? If you're quiet, then I assume you know. So I don't have.
Madam,
Huh?
there's a student want to enter.
Okay, thank you. Klik ni. Okay, dah. Thank you. So, do you so are you clear about how to the difference between symptoms and a problem? Quiet means you know.
Can you give an example, madam, between symptoms and problem?
One of the easiest way is to look at like medical, right? So for example, medically, not in engineering. For example, the patient comes with a right coughing and what do you call it, chest pain. So that's symptoms. So you don't know what is it. It shows leading to a problem. The real problem in the end, after you do some analysis, the problem is you connect the symptoms, and you know actually the problem is maybe he got COVID-19 something. The problem is the problem, but symptoms is the one that leading to the problem. When you read a case study, you need to identify which one are the link. The
NX mode.
okay. So
NX mode.
having the mic. Okay, I muted. Right. So what did I say? So that's a problem. Sometimes there are many problems. So there are a few symptoms. So you need to read carefully in order to link which symptoms to which problem. So as a case study, there's no right or wrong. There's no it's a very subjective. It's not like 1+1 is 2. There might be many different answers. So you need to really understand it and understand it and answer in your own way. So your friends may be answering in a different way. Okay, so as a examiner, me as I will read everything and see if your answer is logical or no. Right? If it's not logical, then I will argue why should you get the marks. But if it's logical, then and you have what do you call it, data and facts from the case study, then I will consider. So case study, there's no right or wrong. You just need to analyze, understand from your perspective, and try to convince the examiner, me, that your answer, you have a solid ground for your answer. So number one is identification of the problems or issues. Okay, so you need to, maybe if there's 5 problems, write down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, list down. It can be in terms of essay, or for me, I prefer you write in terms of points, right, rather than essay, because if essay is too much, and with your, if your English is broken, it will get me, uh, agitated. I will get really angry because I cannot understand your English, and if I cannot understand your English, it become worse to find the answer. So if it's points, even points, don't put like 1, 2 words. You need to have a full sentence. Put points but full sentence. You don't just like he is sick, something like that. You need to elaborate. Otherwise, you don't get a lot of marks. Okay, so that's number one, identification of problem issues. Number two is problem analysis. Once you identify the problem, then you need to analyze the problem. Okay, so number one, identification is just like a statement. The problem is maybe the company is having financial difficulty. That's education of a problem. So problem analysis, you need to discuss the problem. Why is the company having a financial difficulty, and the reasons for the problems to occur identified. So if it's enough information, you need to find the reasons for the problem. Why is the company having a financial problem? Okay, sometimes for these are tips, case study. Sometimes the case study is very short. It's not enough information. So sometimes you need to make your own assumption. Okay, in engineering, it's normal to make assumption. I don't know whether you do mathematics, right? A lot of assumption in engineering as well, because we don't know many things in life. So sometimes we assume. So whenever you assume, right, if you write a case study, whenever you assume, make sure you write your assumption. This is my assumption. Double dot, number 1, number 2, number 3. Okay, if you can assume. So you are, and the assumption must be logical lah, relating it to the case study. So you cannot say, you can assume, for example, maybe the problem happens in this COVID-19, so something, because in the statement it doesn't say COVID-19 or anything. So you can assume, okay, as long as it's logical, it will be accepted. And also when you do the problem analysis, you need to think of the consequences to all parties. So when you discuss a problem, what are the consequences of the problem to other people? For example, consequence to the environment, consequence to the public, consequence to the employer, to the company, consequence to you, right? So you need to cover all angles, right? So when you analyze the problem, all parties that involved should be included in the problem analysis. Okay. the deeper you go, the what do you call it, the more detail that you write, there'll be more marks on it. It shows that you are thinking. So we want to analyze whether you can think or no. Okay, and do not copy your friend, because again I said I'll put it into the plagiarism. So if detect 30%, then I will not discuss. I will say there's no discussion. You will only know the marks at the end and say that's it. Get 0. So I'll be very strict on this. And you only have 4 days. So starting tomorrow, 4 days. So you need to concentrate on that. 30% of your course assessment. Number 3, identification of alternative. Once you do the problem statement, first identify the problem. Number 2, analyze the problem. Number 3, you need to find solution. You need to think what are the solution to the problem. So identification of alternative courses of action. Courses of action means what can you do to solve the problem. And it can be more than one. Okay, normally you have to give more than one. If only one, it means that you're not thinking, or you're not thinking enough. Because in life you need to have like plan A, plan B, plan C. So what are sometimes you can, when you identify alternative solution or courses of actions, it can be you just brainstorm, put everything. It may not make sense. For example, say maybe he needs to jump the building, something like that. Say, so it may not be what do you call it, a good solution. So when number 3A, you need to evaluate the alternative action. So then you say solution number 1 is good, why, and not good, why, pro and cons. And each of the solution, you need to come with of the evaluation of the solution. Okay, so the more you think, the more you will have identification of alternative solution or courses of action. So I would suggest you to have, this is minimum of 3. Minimum. Do more than minimum. Minimum you get pass lah. Okay, you do less than 3, you won't get pass. So if you want better marks, have more. So, and also when you identify the alternative solution, is there any guidance given by the relevant code of ethics? So you can go and read. For example, in Malaysia, we have we not covered yet in our classes. But if you look in the what do you call it, document that I gave, or list of all the YouTube videos, there's one on code of ethics. You can watch that. I already made it. So there is what do you call it, Board of Engineers Malaysia. So you can go and Google what are the Board of Engineers Malaysia. There are a lot of manuals. Is there any relevant code for this? Right, so you can take that, put into your possible solution. Okay, any question up to here? Ada soalan?
No, madam.
No.
No.
Okay. So then, okay, so in part 3, in part of the identification of alternative courses of action or solution, you need to evaluate of the solution. This step involves evaluation of the various alternatives. So you need to evaluate all the alternatives, 1, 2, 3, 4, and justification, and then after you evaluate, then you need to choose one. So for example, you have 5 or 6 of your solutions, right? But based on the evaluation of the, what do you call it, the solution, you think the best is to take solution number 3, for example, and you need to justify the choice of action. Why in the end you choose solution number 3? Okay, and make sure it's very strong lah. Make sure it's very strong. You need to what, and then the action plan. So if you choose that solution, what are you going to do? Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Okay, what's the action of plan? And in the end, you need to also write implication of the decision. For example, you take solution number 3. What is the implication of the decision? It will affect who? The employer, the employee, the environment. What is the implication? Okay, basically, to answer the case study, you need to cover all this. Okay, any question? No? No? Hmm. Okay, now number one, identification of problems or issues. There are three types of problems or issues. This is to guide you how to think of the problem and issues. So for the problem or issues, there are three types. Number one is factual, number two is conceptual, and number three is conflicting values or moral. Okay, so it will be helpful when you answer in the case study to write whether the problem is actually factual, conceptual, or conflicting. Sometimes there are all most of it will, there must be factual problem. Okay, and then maybe there'll be some conceptual. Sometimes maybe there's no conflicting values or moral. So depending on the case study, you need to identify which one. So what is these three? Okay, these three factual. I guess you can read here. Factual means, and I keep on I will emphasize this. I remember last class I emphasized it, and still the student got it wrong. I don't know why. Maybe the student didn't pay attention or didn't come to the class. Factual issues means when you number one, identification of issues or problem. So if it's a factual issue, it means what facts are known about the case. Facts. Okay, when I say facts, it's clear. It must be stated. For example, 5 tons of toxic waste are being dumped into the sea, right? So it's factual. Okay, so it cannot be, it needs to be very clear, written in the case study, what are the facts. So conceptual is different. It's something that you think might be happening. So factual issues, you state what are the facts inside the case study. Any of the aspects of the case controversial, what relevant information is missing or unknown. So maybe you can write the factual problem ialah maybe is you will say the what do you call it, report of the dumping of the toxic waste is missing. We can write something like that. Okay, so it means that everything which is clear cut, which is there and not there. Okay, that's number one. Number two is conceptual issues. What does it mean? It just means that something that's conflicting. For example, I give you can you read over here? Conceptual issue is a disagreement over a definition of a concept that is crucial to resolving a problem. So for example, something that not clear. For example, your boss states, the case study states, the what do you call it, the building need to be safe. Okay, so the contract says you need to build a building which is safe. Now the conceptual issue is that the problem is that what is safe. Okay, for maybe to your boss, the safe means it will not shake if there's the building will stay intact and maybe can last for like 50 years. But your definition of safe is that if there's an earthquake, the building will not shake. Okay, so the definition of safe, we have a difference in what do you call it, definition of safe. So conceptual issues is things that you are not clear, anything not clear. Okay, so sometimes factual issue not much, conceptual issue there's a lot, because once you read the case study, you say not clear, what's the problem, maybe the problem is like this. Okay, so factual issues, things that you are really clear. Anything which is not clear is dumped into conceptual issues. Okay, any question? Okay, then the third one is conflicting or values or morals. This one, the difference between two is something about your moral standing. For example, most of it is about your belief, whether it's spiritual or your inner belief. Some people believe, for example, values or moral, you're going to make, I don't know, you're going to, what's a good example of this? You're going to make or design a building that will be used for pride gatherings. You know what pride is? The capital PRIDE. Anybody knows? Hello? Anybody knows? Very quiet lah this class. Nobody knows? Nobody read the news?
Madam, is it the LGBT events?
Okay, who are you?
Nurul Ain.
Kat mana awak? Nur Ain, okay, thank you. Yes, it's the LGBT events, right? So if you read the news now, we are not allowed to parade with more than a lot of people, right? So they're doing it virtual. I think it's crazy. So that's moral issues. Spiritual for us, it's not right. But to many other out there, that is right. So conflicting of values or moral is something like that. Whether you think it's wrong, it's just wrong. There's no law static. Maybe there's law now. There's a law, but something inside you says it's wrong. Okay, so normally it's about belief and moral, and it's about your religion or spirituality. So will you do it, right? So if you get salary out of it, people are offering you 1 million to build a building. Will you make the building or no? Okay, there's a conflicting values or moral problem. Okay, sometimes as I said, if you're given a problem, maybe sometimes there's there, something's not. Okay. For example, what do you call it? Ngumpat apa bahasa Inggeris?
Talk back, talk shit.
Backbiting.
Apa?
Backbiting.
Talk back? Backbiting. Thank you. So backbiting. Do you think ethically backbiting, is it right or wrong? I mean from the Western point of backbiting.
Wrong. Very wrong.
From the Western side? Who said that? Okay, if you think it's from the Western side, if you think it's wrong, put a reaction. Do you understand my question? If you think it's wrong from the Western side, put a reaction. Okay, I can see one. Omar Khalid say it's wrong from Western point. And then Safwan, Amir, Ashraf. Apa ni tak nampak? Muhammad Afiq. Okay. Alright. Alamak, hilang. You know, just to tell you a story, what is backbiting? That's a good question. Can you tell me what is backbiting? One person please. Alamak, we left with 10 minutes. Okay, who knows what is backbiting? None of the International Islamic University student knows what backbiting is?
Madam, I think backbiting is talking about someone behind his back, which means like you're talking about him, but he's not there to see what you are talking about. And you're mentioning like bad things or bad stuff about him, and he's not there to say, yeah, if this is right or wrong, and you're telling the people about it, but he's not here to defend himself.
All right, thank you. Who are you?
Omar Khalid.
Okay. You don't have a video?
Yeah, I have. Just 1 second.
Why didn't you turn it on? Huh?
Yeah, it's me.
So every time I say in the class, you need to turn on your camera. Okay,
Fine.
I don't have to say every class. I stated in the first class. So part of the ethics of learning online, if you can turn on your video, all of you have to. Okay. So I'm not checking. I'm assuming that I can trust all of you. If you cannot, it's fine. But if you can, Allah is the witness. Okay. Allah knows that whether you can turn on, so you need to turn on. Okay, good. Good answer by Omar. So the answer is backbite. Backbiting is when you talk about somebody and behind his or her back, right? And it can be anything, anything that makes the person does what do you call it? Not happy what you say. Okay. What's the difference between fitnah and backbiting?
Backbiting, you said about people weakness behind their back, while fitnah is false statement about person.
Okay. Good. So the main difference between fitnah and backbiting is that fitnah is it's a lie. It's false. So if you are telling something true about a person behind his back, it's called backbiting. Mengumpat. And what does Islam says about backbiting? Anybody? Anybody? It's okay to do backbiting. If not, what's the dalil? And there's a lot of backbiting. You're talking about a lecturer behind his or her back, and the lecturer doesn't like what you say, is backbiting. And you know, in the day of judgment, when all of your, if you need to give your reward, your ajar to the person that you do backbiting, so you need to be extremely careful with what we say. And sometimes, you know, being a quiet person is much better than person with a lot of mouth, because then in the day of judgment, although that person doesn't know that you actually backbite, but you will get all your reward be given. And in the end, if all of your reward is gone, you finish up all your reward, you have to take their sins to put on your, carry on your back. That's how dangerous backbiting is. So fitnah is even more. You are telling, oh, you know, Amirul Aiman, I see him like copying his friend's job, right? That's maybe, so it's not true. That's fitnah. Now, in backbiting, that's part of the values or moral, because if you look, it doesn't say anywhere in the secular or Western that it's wrong. Okay, it's okay to, for them, it's okay to backbite. That's why. When I was in UK, we all of us are put into one lab. We have a like cubicle, not cubicles, like just a table, one seat over here, one seat over here, just next to each other, by all students. And I was there. I'm the only Muslim, and we have like Chinese, Christians, and also the English, the Englishman. They're all Christians over there. Most of them Christians, some of them Buddhist. So when for us, we don't talk back. We don't talk bad of a people at the back. So if you have to talk, we have to say in front. Okay, but for them, because there's no this kind of understanding in their religion or in their faith or in their moral. So I remember every time, so like a person come to that room, and they will what do you call it, address them nicely. Oh, talk very nice to that person. And then once the person is out of the door, just go out of the door, they will talk the bad things about that person. And for me, that's like a shocking lah, because you know, we don't do that. For them, that's normal, because they never ever being taught that that's wrong. So backbiting, or so that be a conflicting values or moral part of it, right? So for us, you don't backbite, but for them, what's the problem of backbiting? They don't have this concept of sin when you do backbiting. Okay, so So at that time it was difficult for me because then I had to hear this backbiting, and normally I would just like in the end I would just go out of the room, say I want to go to the toilet or something, because and if they can do to other people, it means that they can do it to you, right? If they can backbite other people, it means they can do to you. In Islam, there's an ayah about backbiting, riba. You can find it on your own. Okay, go and Google riba or backbiting in Islam. There's an ayah in the Quran that Allah states about what's the similarity of people who do backbiting. Okay, so these are three when you are discussing this identification of problems or issues, you what divide it into three things: factual, conceptual, and also moral, if there's any. Okay, and the factual can be one or two, or conceptual can 1, 2, 3. It depends. It depends how you read the case study and how do you understand the case study. Okay, any question?